Whispering Pines is nestled on 110 acres of slightly rolling land located in beautiful rural St. Joseph County on the outskirts of Walkerton, Indiana. This 18-hole public golf course offers a pro shop, practice putting green, snack bar and dining room, all in a friendly environment. We specialize in outings for your company, church, school, and fundraising needs. Whether you want to start your day with a round of golf, spend an afternoon in the sun, or an evening with your friends, Whispering Pines is the place for you. Life is good at the Pines.
Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know Podcast Network presents Balls and Brew.
Hello, and welcome to the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to us here. We greatly appreciate it. All we ask is that you take the time to follow along in whatever podcast platform you're listening in. Whether you're watching this maybe on our YouTube channel or on Facebook sometime, give us a like there and a follow. That's all we ask. We are going to be talking a little golf, and then we are, of course, going to run the fast break as we run closer to the playoffs. Jimmy Jamriska, the faithful producer of this podcast, is not here with us right now. But unfortunately, no, I didn't say unfortunately. I meant fortunately, our old man is still joining us from down there in Bloomington. It's Chris King. Chris, hello.
Yeah, and it is almost golf season. It's been some beautiful weather recently. I hope a lot of people got out to the links this past weekend, and I hope to get out there soon.
Chris, I did have one question for you here before we begin. Being that you are quite advanced in age, I'm sure that you were not impressed with the eclipse on Monday like everybody else seemed to be.
Listen, it's not the first one I've seen. All right, I've been around since before they thought Ra, the sun god, was mad at him whenever it happened. So it's an old hat for me.
All right, so you were not out there with your shades that you got from Amazon or one of your local retailers and got the lawn chair out in the front yard and cracked yourself a cold one and store up in the sky.
I was at work. I was doing my Schneider gig. I did take a peek during the totality because in Bloomington we did have the totality here for a good 4 minutes. So it would have been dumb of me not to look. So I did check that out.
Well, listen, there's plenty of audio evidence on this particular podcast feed of you being dumb. So I love that you automatically assume that we don't think you're going to do something dumb there. But somebody is joining us to talk golf, and I know he was enthralled by the eclipse because him and I were doing very similar things, sitting around in our yard, hammering a couple of adult beverages and playing eclipse related songs on our Spotify. And that is, of course, our golf analyst, our old friend. You've heard him on the network many times. He entertains every time he joins us, and we appreciate it when he's here. It's our guy, Matt Roberts.
Hello. Oh, way to always make me feel welcome. I appreciate that. I did enjoy the heck out of the eclipse. We had a nice little playlist going, had some adult beverages popping off, and then, like a bunch of idiots, we stared at the sun for an hour. That was pretty fun.
That's right. And I give me any excuse where staring at the sun doesn't just make you seem like a Neanderthal and something is wrong, right? Like any other scenario in life where you're just staring up at the sun, people are going to walk by and be like, "Are you okay? Can I help you with anything?" But not on Monday.
No, that was a perfect time to stare at it and, feel insignificant in the world while you realized all that was going on. It was pretty crazy.
Well, we had something beautiful in the celestial skies on Monday, and we were about to have something beautiful on the grounds of Augusta, Georgia. The Masters is once again kicking off. You were probably hearing this on Thursday, but we are recording this before the Masters. I promise you that Mr. Roberts is giving us all of his Masters takes before anything tips off. But Mr. Roberts, I guess we should start here. Is there a chance everybody actually plays their first round on Monday? Because I'm hearing we got some bad weather for the opening round.
Well, if they played it on Monday, we'd have to have some really bad weather.
Thursday, excuse me.
Yeah, that's a whole long time. I know they have delayed already the start. They're supposed to make another announcement at 5:00 tomorrow morning on what's going on. Today they were talking about some possibly 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. You take some greens that we famously spoke of are craziest on tour, fastest on tour, and you start blowing 40, 50 mile an hour wind, the ball will not stand still on them. You will have people's balls roll in water off the front, sand traps. That's not fair. That's not what you want to see. It would be kind of cool to see, but it'll never happen.
if we start getting, guys having to play multiple rounds per day, guys' start times are getting switched off on them. Maybe we were doing some shotgun, and if any kind of that wildness comes on, does that help or hurt anybody offhand? Do you think there's any one golfer particularly suited for something like that? One golfer who's way dedicated to their patterns that would throw them off?
I think that a lot of guys on tour have their patterns. They show up on a certain day, they do their practice rounds a certain day based off their tee times. If that starts to, screw up time frames, absolutely that'll be in someone's head a little bit. But you also have the best golfers in the world who, when it comes to the first tee, no matter when it is, no matter where it is, I mean, a guy like Brooks Koepka, a guy like Rory. I mean, Rory is a little bit of a mental case, but he's also that kind of guy who's going to step on the first tee and you're going to see the zoned in. Um, but golfers are creatures of habits. You play the same golf ball number. You keep your tees in the right pocket or the left pocket. Anything that throws that out of whack is it's going to have some part in it. I don't think it would deter someone from playing well, but it might make their heads twirl a little bit before they go out.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that. I think it's more than almost any other professional sport because it is so individualized. You really kind of need to be locked in and in your own world to probably perform at the top levels there. I love that you brought up Brooks Koepka because Chris, all of our guys that have been wasting away over in the Live Tour, they're actually going to be here, right? We get to see Bryson, we get to see Dustin Johnson, we get Brooks, we get John Rahm, right? All the boys are going to be in, right?
Yeah, and I think both Brooks and to an extent John Rahm have to come back and prove themselves that they can still compete with the best on the PGA Tour, right? Now, I will say Brooks is probably one of the best major golfers that we have right now. So you can't count him out. You know he's going to be coming to play and be prepared. And John Rahm has to as well because he hasn't played that well on Live this year so far, and he has to come and essentially defend his championship.
When and Mr. Roberts, things are kind of coming home to roost for John Rahm a little bit, right? We're hearing kind of some rumblings that he's not really liking being over there on the Live Tour. They're not really competitive. He's not even had a chance to play a full 72 holes in quite a while. And it's like, hey, John, that's what the $300 million is for, bud. When you choose that, you don't get the level of competition in the 4-round PGA events.
Yeah, his press conference yesterday was not at all what I expected. Um, I had a feeling he wasn't going to like the live questions, and you could see he was ready to get that out of the way. But he said something to me, and this will make me sound super cool and name droppy. I used to live about 15 minutes from TPC Scottsdale. I ran into John Rahm a few times. Nothing more than a casual, "Hey, you're the best.
But
I
this is
like
why
you."
you're our golf correspondent, Mr. Roberts, because you have these abilities to tell us these stories.
Knowing where he lives, I don't know his address or anything, but I know the country club he lives at. And he said something along the lines of driving up and down through Phoenix, through Scottsdale, and seeing that course and not getting to play it is weighing heavy on him. Not going and playing at Riviera is weighing on him. You're looking at a guy who's a competitor, a fiery Spaniard, one of these guys that wants to compete with the best, and he's not getting that opportunity. And I wonder, not that the money changed him, because you're going to make money on the tour. He was already living a wonderful life, but not getting that competition, I wonder how that will go. It does sound like there's a touch of regret, although he's going to sleep very comfortably on a $350 million mattress. Um, but I think he's the first one that I've noticed that's kind of, did I do the right thing? And I'm putting words into his mouth totally there, but it kind of gave off that vibe.
I definitely get that read as well. And I heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Patrick Cantlay, I believe, is the PGA Tour player who's heavily involved in trying to figure out this merger. And so people are kind of wondering if his head might be in too many places all at once. And so he's not going to be up. So I guess I'm trying to give a live golf update here, Mr. Roberts, because I often go to you for that. But I did my own research ahead of time here. And we are still, like you said, we're basically nowhere. But there is at least a committee, from what I understand, working to try to figure out the parameters of the merger so that these guys that we're talking about, that are frankly some of the big stars still left on tour, other than the guy named Eldrick, who we'll get to a little bit later here, but those guys need to come back and play. So I just, as icky as the Saudi money makes me, and as happy as I sort of am to hear John Rahm express regret, I'm excited that it seems that we're trying to close this chapter in golf.
There's another live golfer I think we should be aware of that's going to be coming over, and that's Joaquin Niemann. He's the hottest golfer from Live Tour right now. He can come over and probably maybe get a top 5, top 10 finish, I think.
All right, Mr. Roberts, I want to give a shout out to my podfather, a guy that made me want to get started in this business. Not that I ever met him personally, but listening to him all the time made me want to do this, and that's Bill Simmons. Heard him today with his guy Joe House making some comparisons of Masters favorites to NBA favorites for the playoffs, and I was absolutely enthralled because you know me, I make everything about myself. It is the Morgan Podcasting Network. I have given up on baseball. I am a basketball guy here because football season is over. Mr. Williams isn't here. I don't have to answer to him right now and all of his nonsense and referee stats and all of his handicap and numbers. So it's a basketball thing for me. Are the Denver Nuggets the same as Scotty Scheffler in your book? Boom. They're just write it down 100%. We don't even need to play the tournament. The Nuggets are winning the championship. Scotty Scheffler's winning the Masters. Do you look at them the same?
I look at them both the same as they are incredibly talented at what they do, but they're also very boring aside from Scotty Scheffler's footwork. That still blows my mind. I'm not someone who has an orthodox swing or very good balance, but I don't understand how someone walks through the golf ball and puts it in a thimble. That's insane. They both go out and do what they need to do to win practically every time they go out. So I think that's a great comparison.
Chris, what do you think of that one?
The only thing I would say different is Scheffler's putter. Not that great. And it's hard for me to find much fault at all in Denver's makeup.
That's true. I get you there. I got another one for you here, Mr. Roberts. Now, this is the Boston Celtics and Rory McIlroy, which sounds like a match made in heaven because, the Celtics, Rory McIlroy's Irish. But how about this little twinge on it, all right? The Celtics dominating. Everybody says that they're going to be in the hunt, but we're all a little worried about what happens with the Celtics in the last 4 minutes of a close basketball game. And Rory, we know he's won at Augusta before. He's going to look great. But when it comes time for Amen Corner on Sunday, maybe we're going to see Rory hiccup on himself a little bit. How about that one?
Well, this will be twice now. I've corrected you. He hasn't won at Augusta. He's pissed away a couple of them. Yeah, but he's typically the hot golfer, playing well, should be in contention, and then doesn't. I mean, when he was, 4 or 5 strokes up in 2011, and he hits a ball where no one has ever hit a ball before to start the second 9 and just derail, that seems like a pretty Boston move.
All right, one last one for you here. All right. Are the Golden State Warriors Eldrick Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson?
Wow. I would probably go more Phil Mickelson just because of the flash, the greatness. You could say Tiger, but Golden State seems to want to put on a show, and I don't think Tiger's ever wanted to put on a show. I think he's wanted to just stomp people's throats, and I think Phil wants to hit the hero shot, the half court, the logo. He's going to miss a lot of them, and so is Clay and so is Steph, but they're also going to make a bunch of them and in some clutch time.
Ozempic Phil, Just for Men Phil, lots of different nicknames being thrown around for Phil these days. It seems like it doesn't seem as much fun to be Phil Mickelson as it did a few years ago anymore. But Chris, you know what I'm going for there, right? The old lion. You got to have respect for him because they've showed us in this arena that they can win before, but there's probably no chance the Golden State Warriors are going to win the NBA championship, just like there's probably no chance Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson's going to win Augusta, right?
Yeah, no, I like it because you have a team and a guy who used to win all the time or almost what seemed like all the time. Now they've aged. They're not quite as quick or as sharp as what they once were. I think it's perfect. And I don't know if I like the Rory Boston thing. To me, if you're going to compare a golfer with Boston, give me Jordan Spieth, a guy who is constantly good at the Masters, constantly in the hunt at the Masters, but has only been able to come across it once. 5 top 10 finishes in
How
his.
dare you? The Celtics have way more than one championship. How dare you?
They've been around a whole lot longer than golfers are golfing, okay? I'm not gonna find a golfer out there besides Tiger Woods that has 17, 18 championships, all right?
You ever hear of Jack Nicklaus, Chris? Ever hear of Jack Nicklaus? That name ring a bell? Nick
You so
Faldo?
so we have 2, maybe 3 golfers with as many championships as
Listen,
Boston, and how many of them are golfing?
I'm not gonna go down a history list with the man as old as you, all right? That's not gonna be a battle that I like to fight, all right? Know your enemy, all right? That's Sun Tzu stuff, that's art of war, all right? What we are gonna do though is move on to Mr. Roberts here and see if he can explain for our viewers in his best guess as to why Augusta is such a tough mental battle. Is it the hole design? Is it the crowds? Is it the mystique, Mr. Roberts? Why do you think we have so much evidence of guys folding at the back on Augusta?
I think one of the most understated portions of it is just how good or how much people want to win this tournament. It's not a normal tournament. It's something that you dream of as a kid slipping on the green jacket. And I think a lot of guys, when they get to that point of it's there, it could be yours, the pressure builds and it's the don't screw it up instead of go win it. I think that's a lot. Depends on who's playing as well. You know, we saw 4 or 5 guys in 2019 that were ahead of Tiger and see him start to make a charge and then put a ball in the water on 12, you're out. Put a ball in the water on 12, you're out. And it happened to 4 different people. I think the course itself is hard. And I think those guys get there and the familiarity of playing it and they think they know what to do. And then they get there and the winds are swirling or the greens are faster, the greens are slower. And it just, that place is someplace you have to plot around and think. And I know you touched on the mental toughness. Not everybody has that. And I think that's a place that makes you fold if you're not on it.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, Roberts, about how hard this course actually is, because when we're watching on TV, it doesn't appear all the time as such a difficult course, but it really, really is.
It's crazy hard.
Tight
You have
fairways, right? Isn't that one of the easiest ways you can say it to people that, like, when you step up to the tee box, seeing the fairways are a heck of a lot squeezed on you than it realizes on TV? That's one thing I hear that's easy to point at.
That's one, and then also how much undulation the place has that you basically never have a flat stance shot. You have to hit in. You'll hear it on the commentary all week. You have to hit to a quadrant. You have to hit to spots where you have an uphill putt instead of a downhill putt. You don't want to short side yourself. There's places to miss. There's places you can't miss. They just moved back the tee box on 2, so it brought into play a fairway bunker where if you're a player that doesn't naturally hit the ball right to left or can't do it very often, you're going to be in a bad spot on that hole. So it's just crazy tough.
I love it. See, that's a very good description right there. That's giving people a couple of different choices and then realizing that it's probably a combination of all of those, right? To mix up in one big soup. And it just, like you said, it's basically soup in your stomach, right? And you're thinking way more about, man, I don't want to screw this up, and not enough about winning. I love that. Let's go to who you think has a chance to put on the green jacket, guys you're looking for, guys you're going to make plays on. Chris, I know you got some odds for us, so jump in there what you think, and then we'll close with the one thing that unites all golfers. Don't worry, we're going to get there, but let's talk about who might actually win this tournament first.
So winning the tournament, I have a pretty great track record of one time correctly calling the champion.
It's better than me.
And it was a number 1 golfer in the world, and it was a pretty easy pick. So, I'm smart. You guys aren't. I got 1 win. I don't think any of you guys have one. So
Nope.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I think for the last, other than the Dustin Johnson year, I think I've taken Rory McIlroy every year, and I hate it. So I'm not doing it this year. I'm gonna go with probably an unpopular choice from this program, and I'm gonna take a live golfer, and I'm going with Brooks Koepka.
Wow. Okay. You have always been a Brooks guy. You're a Brooks guy. You love Mick Ultra. You're all about it.
Well, some people say that we have a similar physique and lifestyle, so it's like looking in a mirror.
The number of times I've seen you and Brooks Koepka in front of a private jet are just too many to count. So yeah, you guys live that jet set lifestyle.
Yeah, my NetJet subscription is, prepaid, so I'm good, and I get to pick my seat at least. I think he's just a major guy. He's proven that he shows up for these. Um, I don't know if you guys have been big Full Swing fans on Netflix or not, but I'm a Brooks stan, so I like everything he does. I think he's got a bad taste from last year of kind of giving away the tournament. I think this could be a Virginia as a 1 seed losing and coming back the next year and winning a championship.
Thank God
Um,
Purdue didn't do that.
yeah, I
There it
wasn't going to
was.
bring that up. Yeah,
So what you're
but no, I
saying,
like.
Roberts, is you're kind of like the Bobs from Office Space, where they celebrate all of Michael McDonald's or Michael Bolton's catalog. You celebrate all of Brooks Koepka's catalogs, his commercials, his magazine shoots, his live golf tour, anything he appears in.
His trolling on the internet is fantastic. I think he's one of those guys that won't tell you that he cares as much as he does because he kind of looks like a tough guy a little bit or
I
that. But
think that's spot on.
I think the guy does care. You watch him in a major, you watch him at a Ryder Cup, and he just wants to win. Um,
You don't troll
I think
people if you don't care, right? Like that's the thing. Joel Embiid is another one in the NBA that loves to try to play off that he doesn't care. It's like, dude, if you're listening to everything everybody says and responding at all times and throwing out DX suck it chops, you clearly care.
you've got something going on with that. And Brooks, I was a little disappointed that he didn't show up with the blonde mullet. I wanted to see that, but it's
Who doesn't?
Augusta, so he cleaned it up.
There's a
Good
lot of
Kentucky
people out there
rainfall?
that agree with you, Roberts, because even though odds wise, I think he's fourth or fifth favorite for the Masters, he is second in total amount of money wagered on him to win the Masters, and also second in total number of bets for him to win the Masters. So a lot of people agree with
Well,
you.
So
well,
what
one
we're
of
looking
those
at
bets is
Scheffler
for
probably?
me.
Yeah, well, nice. We're looking at Scheffler probably as the odds-on favorite, right, Chris?
Yeah, Scheffler's by far the odds-on favorite at plus 450. 22% of all money wagered is on Scheffler, and 10% of all bets placed have been on Scheffler as well.
All right, well, there you go, man. Scheffler, Kepska getting a lot of money. I am going to make a pick. I, like Roberts, tend to pick the same person. It's always John Rahm. So this year, I'm going to go against myself and not pick John Rahm. And I'm going to pick up the guy that Roberts always picks because now he's destined to win the Masters, and I'll be right and get one to add to the total. So give me Rory McIlroy finally winning his first green jacket.
I don't hate it. If it happens this year, I will gladly, bow down to you for saying that. But I'll preface it by saying I gave him up, so I
You
really
did.
should have won. Yeah.
You did. It's kind of like a custody hearing kind of deal there. You know, it was a court battle between you and I, and you were forced to give up Rory, and I got him. So, Chris, who you got?
I'm going to give a dark horse. That's Ludwig Eggberg. That was going to be my dark horse. I know we've already talked about him a little bit. I think he's good. I think he's playing really well. Even though this is his first major, so maybe his nerves get to him a little bit more. I mean, the dude played outstanding as a rookie last year, and he's kept that up. So I don't think the nerves are going to get to him yet. I am going to take somebody else who's at plus 1400, a guy that probably is the only person that's played as consistent as him is Scotty Scheffler, and that's Xander Schauffele.
I'm not sure that's how you pronounce his last name, but
Oh,
I think
I'm
we all
sure
know
it's
who you're
not.
going for. And I think we all know who you're going for there.
Who is Xander Schauffele?
Hey, professional golfer, Roberts, you should know.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Alexander Schauffele.
All
Xander
right, so
Schauffele, maybe.
all of us are going to be tuned in, and we're going to be watching for all these golfers that we've talked about here, and that's great. But secretly, we're all going to be paying attention to one Tiger Woods, right? And CBS is going to be giving us a lot on Thursday and Friday. Roberts, let's start here. Will we get to see Tiger on the weekend? Be bold.
Yes.
Make the prediction.
Yes, 100%. Mark it. And then
Will
for
we see
everybody
Phil
that
on the weekend?
yes,
Ooh, I don't know about Phil. I say Tiger makes the cut, but I don't know about Phil. I think there's things going on with Phil.
Phil
Chris, what do you
finished
think?
runner up last year.
I don't care. Phil's having trouble.
I
Chris?
have a question.
Okay.
I think Tiger's going to make the weekend. I do. He's going to go for that record to be 23 straight in a row, which is crazy. Let's go. Tiger's going to get it done, whether it kills him or not. I think. I
It
have
literally
a
might kill him as well, actually. Tiger's that kind of guy. It literally might.
Yeah, I have a question, and I'm hoping Roberts has the answer. Maybe Rod. I know you are a in tune with the goings on of TV contracts and whatnot. But why in the world does Canada get better coverage of the Masters than we do here in America? They get coverage starting at 10 a.m. every single day, and it goes until 7 p.m. every single day. We don't get that in America. Why?
That's a great question that I don't know the answer of. But just go to masters.com and watch every shot of every golfer, and whenever it starts.
Actually, Chris, this goes back to the founder of the Augusta National Golf Course. He was a huge fan of maple syrup, hockey, and poutine. So, as a little homage to all of his Canadian friends up north, he said that you guys will get more Masters coverage than the folks here in the United States. I believe that you can look that up. I think that's true. I have no idea. Everything's better in Canada, Chris. How come I can go up to Canada right now and get a procedure and it's not going to cost me a bunch of money, but if I just go get a test at somewhere in America, it's going to cost me thousands of dollars? I mean, who know? Nobody has that answer, but that's a true statement, isn't it?
Yeah, I was just asking about golf though.
But I'm just saying things are different in Canada, right? That's what I'm saying, right? They have ketchup potato chips, which you think would be a great thing here in America, but for some reason, ketchup potato chips have never taken off here in the States.
Because they don't taste good. Have you tasted them? They don't work. I don't know why.
Well, who doesn't love ketchup as much as an overweight American? What are we talking about here?
I love ketchup more than, we're getting way off topic. But I love ketchup more than most people, and I can't stand the ketchup potato chips.
This is what about poutine? Do you like poutine?
That's just gravy.
No, it's not just gravy. It's gravy and fries. It's like two of the greatest creations ever. I also, why haven't we like poutine down here? Basically, what I'm saying is I'm pro Canada. All right. I do not like that Blame Canada was nominated for an Oscar back in the day from the South Park Bigger, Longer, Uncut movie. Canada's gotten a bad rap. I don't understand hockey, but I don't have to. I do like the Great White North. Okay. And Chris, see, you got me all off topic, but that's what people come to the Morgan Podcasting Network for. Let's be honest.
Speaking of going up north, if you're going up to northern Indiana, make sure and stop by Whispering Pines. The Pines is located in Joseph County on the outskirts of Walkerton, Indiana. It is a great, great public golf course. Go out there. There's stuff to do for the entire family, whether you want to get around a golf in or enjoy just an evening meal with friends. Life is good at the Pines.
You know why you got to get up to the Pines, Chris? The Pines have a guy working for him, right? He's a greenskeeper. He used to work as a looper. Do you know what a looper is, Chris? It's a pro jock, all right? So he makes his way over to Hong Kong, right? Working as a pro jock there in Hong Kong. Then he gets over to Tibet, all right? And whose bag do you think they give this guy? None other than the Dalai Lama himself, all right? So if you want to meet a guy who carried a bag for the Dalai Lama, watch Caddyshack. But maybe, just maybe, there is a greenskeeper at Whispering Pines up here in wonderful St. Joe County near Walkerton, Indiana. And the only way to find out is to go and tell Johnny that you heard about his wonderful golf course here on the Morgan Podcasting Network, and it would gladly help us out. Life is better at the Pines. All right, we got our seamless ad read in there, Mr. Roberts, before we got a chance to say goodbye to you. What do you think there, Whispering Pines? You're going to get up here north, and you're going to play with us at Whispering Pines someday, right?
Only for $50 a hole.
All right, I suppose. I'm going to make Chris cover all of my bets because he's making that huge Schneider money.
I mean, my handicap is pretty awful.
Bagger.
We can play with handicap. I only have 5 rounds in this year, so I'm struggling.
There we go. Chris, I'll take all the strokes. We'll take all the strokes.
I was going to say, that's 5 more rounds than I've had the past 2 years, so.
We will take all the strokes. Mr. Roberts, thank you so very much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Enjoy the Masters, my friend. And I have a sneaky feeling that you'll probably join us again on the Podcasting Network here sometime in the summer when I come up with some crazy pop culture draft that I need to drag you into.
You know I'm in. Just give me a call.
Well, that's my boy. And on the other side of this, the faithful producer of this podcast, James Jamriska, will be back, and he'll be leading us on the fast break.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. Rod and Chris, thank you very much for taking care of the Balls and Brew section of the show. Really good interview. Really appreciate talk a little bit of golf, didn't we?
Yes, we got to have Matt Roberts on. If we're going to talk golf, we got to have our guy who worked as a golf pro for a while, then was
Mhm.
installing golf simulators, right? You know, Roberts he's got his ear to the ground in the golf world. No one better to talk to than our guy.
Gives us some of those inside nuggets because he's in the know because he lived in Scottsdale. He knows some people, right, Rod?
That's right. He didn't specifically name drop, but it worked. You know, we all heard it. It was okay.
Well, we have NBA to talk about. We only have a couple games left on the schedule. And speaking of games, speaking of schedules, speaking of Jimmy, I'm going to say it right now. Champion. That's all I got to say. 435 wins in the wins league for me, 385 for Chris, 375 for Rod. So technically speaking, that second place is still going strong there. But one thing we need to talk about, Chris King, your number one pick, the Milwaukee Bucks, have 49 wins right now, but they are missing something huge. Your boy Giannis goes down on a non-contact injury. How's your heart?
Those are always the scariest, right? The non-contact. You're like, that's usually a tear, a pop, a tweak, a sprain, a strain. I mean, it's something that's not usually good or good for Milwaukee.
No, Rod, when someone falls down and grabs themselves, not good usually, right?
Certainly not, but I mean, Giannis of all people is a guy that we thought literally like bent his knee the way it wasn't supposed to, and then came back a couple of games later and they went on to win the NBA Finals. So I think he's going to be off here for a couple of games. He'll come back as not quite fully ready to go, Giannis, and then he'll be rolling. But the problem for the Bucks is I don't know if they are guaranteed to have a second round series, so they need him to get ramping up as quickly as possible.
And I wonder if that'll affect our MVP table, which we need to get back to, and we'll get back to that here in a little bit. But Rod, some good news for one of your boys. I'm interested to see your take on it, though. Drew Holiday, a Celtic for the next 4 years at $135 million. How are you thinking that's going to turn out for your boys, the Celtics?
I think it's an awful lot of money, but if not Joe Lacob, that's the guy who left the Celtics. I'm not entirely sure. Witt is the guy's name who's the owner of the Celtics. Anyway, yeah, Witt Grossbard, I think. Anyway, if he doesn't mind paying out, the luxury tax for a little while, that's fine because the Celtics will have the ability to keep signing these guys because they're all on their roster. What I worry about is the future of Derek White, because he might be the guy that becomes a little too expensive for the Celtics britches here. I like a lot of what Derek White brings to the table, but I love a lot of what Drew Holiday brings to the table. He's really the perfect fourth wheel. I'm not entirely sure you can go out and find a guy better to be the fourth option on your team. Now, when you get a guy this advanced in his career, you're going to have to pay a bit of a premium. That's just the way it works with years of service. And frankly, with past contracts, a guy's not going to take a pay cut all the way down to league minimum in a lot of cases. So you're overpaying for him here. But I think what you need a fourth guy to do, Drew Holiday is going to do very, very well.
He doesn't care if he scores. He just cares that the team wins. Now, Chris, that's 4 years at $135 million, not $1.35. I saw you're like, that's not that big of a deal. With the new NBA TV contract coming up, do you see this being a problem, or you think this is just going to be par for the course?
I mean, we've been conditioned that this is par for the course, right? This is just salaries just keep exponentially growing every single year. New contracts, you can't get paid less than the guy did last year, so it's just going to keep going up and up and up.
He's actually saving the Celtics a little bit of money next year, though, because if he would have picked up his player option, he'd be getting paid more money than what the Celtics are paying him now on the extension.
So many good things happening. There's got to be something negative, right?
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. This is going to be a Rod Damnation for the ages, probably. It's going to be the only time that this Rod Damnation subject is ever the subject of Rod Damnation. And this week's subject of Rod Damnation is me, myself. I deserve scorn. I'm going to yell at myself here for allowing my personal feelings about a player's off-court antics to color my predictions, all right? I let my hatred for Kyrie Irving blind me to what the Dallas Mavericks can be. I predicted that they would flame out, not make the playoffs, and that Jason Kidd might be fired. Okay. I could not be any more wrong on both of those fronts. I predicted Kyrie Irving might not even play half of the games for the Mavericks this year. Dead wrong on that. They have lost 2 games in their last 18 or 19 games, something like that. They are rounding into form at the exact time. And I think that the Western Conference Finals are about to be a Dolly Parton situation. And what I mean by that is some double D's. Denver versus Dallas. All right. That's what we're going to see in the Western Conference Finals. And so I've got to give Rod damnation for myself for not understanding that just because I think Kyrie Irving is a colossal douchebag does not necessarily mean the Dallas Mavericks will be a bad basketball team.
Would that be a 3D then, Rod? The Dallas Denver douchebag in there anywhere?
If you want it to be, Jimmy.
Chris, what are your thoughts on Rod? You hate Rod and you love double D's. I'm sure this is going to be great for you.
I don't think that we will get Denver versus Dallas in the Western Conference Finals. We will get that in the second round. Dallas is either your 5 or 4 seed, so they would have to get past the Clippers in the first round and then end up going.
Semantics. Who cares about what can really happen? My doubles D's line was fabulous.
And my follow-up
it wasn't
pretty decent. So, okay. So you do hate Rod. Okay. That's fine. I think that I don't understand what's going on our show sometimes. I really don't. So Rod is definitely pro Kyrie Irving and everything he stands for now because he's such a terrific basketball player. We've learned that. I want to go to the MVP table before we go to anything else, just because I think it's an interesting discussion to have now. And I don't think I have the drop, which is perfectly fine. No problem with that. I'm going to be at the head of the table, even though Roman Reigns is no longer the head of the table. Acknowledge him, though, for being an amazing champion.
He's always the head of the table. He just currently is away from the table.
Okay, that's fine. So we have the MVP table. I want each of us to talk about someone here. I'm going to pick first because it's my fast break, my segment. I'm going to go Jokic. I think he's got to be the MVP again. They might end up with the best record in the league. He's had some Murray situations to deal with, and he's just an all-around the best player in the NBA right now. I'm sorry, that's the case. You can make some arguments for whoever you want. It's Jokic. I think he's number 1 in the MVP table.
Yeah, and I'm about to make an argument against Jokic because you said people are allowed to do that, Jimmy, and I will do that right now.
Allowed.
I think there's a player from Eastern Europe in the Western Conference who's playing better than Nikola Jokic, and that is Luka Doncic. 77 down in Dallas, all right? That team is darn near unstoppable right now. Luka can do no wrong. He dictates offense more than anybody out there. And if you told me that Jokic was a lockdown defender, I'd say fine, he can be the MVP. But neither one of them can play defense. So I don't know. I think there's a really, really good shot that Luka Doncic is garnering a lot of support and might sneak in the back door here and get the MVP. I'm going Luka.
Chris, is there anyone else that you think has even a chance at getting the number 1 overall selection for MVP?
I'm so glad that Rod brought up defense when he started talking in the MVP conversation, because what you need in MVP is a full, well-rounded player, not just an offensive juggernaut, but you need somebody that can get stocks, Rod, as well as run the offense, as well as score points, as well as has a usage rate of 33%, a PER of over 32.
Wembanyama's going to be rookie of the year, Chris. He can't be MVP too.
Talking about SGA. SGA goes out there and has just gotten Oklahoma City back up to where they have been neck and neck with Denver all season long. All right. We cannot ignore what Oklahoma City has done with SGA running the helm.
Jimmy, can I say something here?
Let me look at the notes. Yes, you can.
I don't want to be a fan of a league where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins MVP. I'm sorry, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. He's not flashy. He's not exciting. I don't want to live in a world where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins the MVP for an Oklahoma City Thunder team
that has fallen back to the 3rd seed that is probably going to get beat in the 2nd round of the playoffs. I just don't want to live in that world. We all remember how big of a flat it was when Dirk Nowitzki won his MVP and then the Mavericks got beat in the 1st round. I just don't want to live in a world where that happens. Give Shea plenty of time to win the MVP. This year ain't it.
Chris, your rebuttal, sir. Screw you, Rod.
Give it some new blood, all right? Luka would be new blood. I think one thing that hurts Luka, though, is Luka does this every year, and maybe we are used to it, and it doesn't stand out as much. And it's not fair to Luka, but that's why I think he gets overlooked now, because this is what we expect of him. And it seems like the NBA keeps giving it to people who maybe we don't expect it from. And maybe this is why SGA would get it this year.
Well, Chris, I think you're on the right track there, but this year's a little different. What Rod said, there was so much bias against the Mavericks coming in. Even a month ago, there was so much bias against the Mavericks, and they just started coming on. And Luka's been consistent throughout the year, taking his team to that next level. I mean, they're a 5 seed right now. Are you kidding me? They were thinking 8, 9 earlier. They're getting there. So I think that might be okay this year. So I want to know, Rod, I think you've got Luka first in your MVP ballot, correct?
I do. I got Luka. Now listen, I'm going to admit my bias here because I literally have spent numerous years on this podcast railing against the guy out in Denver. He's kind of undeniable, but I definitely have my personal bias against him. So I'm a Luka guy for sure.
Chris, of Luka or Jokic, who you got?
I would lean towards giving the MVP to Luka.
Okay.
And I think part of that is because this is what we expect from Jokic. You know, so it's something that we're used to. It doesn't stand out anymore. So I want to give it to a guy who has been overlooked, who has finally gotten his team up into the upper tier and contending in the West again. So give it to Luka.
Skip going. It's fine.
You won 62 games. What happens?
You're the Joker.
You're the king of the NBA. All right. They've been here almost all year, except for a few weeks. All right. This is the creme de la creme, the Cuban, the Monte Cristo. This is the Boston Celtics.
The cream will rise to the top, brother.
Boston Celtics are your king, your queen.
I'm going to give that to Denver. All right. They look like they have this locked in. I know they're only a game up on Minnesota and Oklahoma City right now, but listen, until someone knocks them off, and we're at playoff time. All right. We meet here next week. Playoffs are happening. So Denver's the queen.
Yeah, I think that's got to be it. We love us some Western Conference. I'm interested to see. I mean, the Celtics, the first Eastern Conference team we've mentioned in a minute here. Who's your prince?
That's the Dallas Mavericks. Rod already talked about them. They lost 2 games like in their last 20. All right, they've won 5 in a row. They've gotten back up into that number 4 seed conversation. They're a game behind the Clippers, I believe it is. Yep. So they are playing to win, and that's what they're doing. They deserve to be the prince.
So does losing 13 games in a row get you to the Jester?
I mean, Rod kind of railed on me when I made them the Jester a couple weeks ago because they were playing themselves out of the playoffs.
Sure.
And I think they just justified why I made them a Jester. Maybe I was a little bit earlier than most, but they've certainly became a joke of the league.
And who is that?
That's the Utah Jazz.
Thank you.
No, the Raptors. The Raptors gave away, I mean, the game they gave away the other night, I can't remember who it was. They were up by like 11 points with like 43 seconds left to go, and then they somehow ended up losing. I mean, the Raptors are like, they're just so trying to give away games right now. But I suppose
was that against the that was against the who was that against?
It was a playoff contender.
The Nets. It was against the Nets, right? Or no?
Yeah. Yeah, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. It was the thing that the NBA tries to get us out of with the 65 game threshold and the play-in tournament and all of that, and it still happens with the terrible teams. And the only way you get out of the tanking conversation is if your coach is Greg Popovich and you have the world's most phenomenal rookie on your team, because the Spurs are putrid too, but nobody ever really talks about them.
The Spurs are very bad. Before we leave the fast break, Chris, what are you looking forward to next week?
I am looking forward to a very possible play-in game between the Lakers and the Warriors.
Okay. Rod.
Jimmy, can I take us off to another basketball topic here before we actually close?
Sure.
Can we?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Can we please talk about the fact that 18.5 million people decided to tune their television sets to ABC on 3:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday to watch the Iowa women's Hawkeyes take on South Carolina in the women's national championship game, Jimmy? And that was something. That South Carolina team, I'm telling you what, I don't recall seeing a women's basketball team play quite like that. I will admit to not watching enough women's basketball here recently, but seeing the style of play that South Carolina played out there, it was amazing. And Iowa, to me, was hickory. I mean, they literally were just like, "Hey, Caitlin, we got to get you a shot here. Caitlin, please save us. Caitlin.
I'll make
Caitlin.
it." She did, but not all of them. I mean, she did a really good job there. And wait, that was at 3:00 in the afternoon. That 18 million people. It wasn't at 9:20 on a Monday.
No,
you mean people could have actually watched this game and then gone about their day afterwards?
Yeah, crazy. I know,
Weird.
crazy. They even had 14 million people, I think, tune in at like 9:00 on that Saturday night, but for the semifinal game.
3 consecutive games in a row Iowa played. They broke the all-time women's basketball mark. And then, obviously, as you said on Sunday, it was the biggest watched basketball game in 5 years. The biggest watched basketball game in 5 years. Speaking of that, Chris, the Indiana Fever next year. Well, it's a 2023 season. They had one nationally televised game. 2024 season. 36 of their 40 are nationally televised games.
Let's go.
Let's go, Fever. That is amazing for the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. That's awesome.
Yeah, no. I have to imagine that it's pretty much a done deal that she will sign with them. Like, there's never been a WNBA player to refuse to go to a team, right?
I believe her boyfriend works for the Pacers. She's going to the Fever.
Also,
it's okay.
Don't put that out in the air, Chris. And let's also throw Chris a bone here, Jimmy, while we're on the NCAA. Let's just close out here. Chris,
Sure.
Come on. You got to glow a little bit here. I mean, you love nothing more than seeing the Boilers go down, and they certainly did in the championship game.
I tell you what, you want to talk about giving a Hoosier fan a heart attack, all right? The Boilers did just that. Playing tough, Thank goodness that UConn came out in that second half and said, we're not here to play around anymore, and this is how it's going to go, because UConn was a tough team. And I will give Purdue all the credit. They did essentially eliminate the demon of getting knocked out in the first round by a 16 seed. Almost pulled it Virginia, not quite, so thank God. But no banners yet for you, Purdue fans.
Could anybody else on Purdue make a shot? Honestly, could anybody else on Purdue make a shot? For goodness sakes, Matt Painter, could you maybe have the boys take a few more than 7 3-pointers? What are you doing with your gray hair?
The bitch had zero points.
And with that, you've been listening to The Fast Break, the fastest 19 minutes and 27 seconds in the NBA.
Could you tell that Jimmy was a little tired this evening and was ready to get this thing over and done with?
Goodbye, Internet.